Hello, good morning, Private Hire Guy here. PHG, welcome to London on a sunny Friday morning. So, let's talk about Uber, the Supreme Court, and whether we're going to get the right holiday pay, sick pay, pension, etc. So, to cut a long story short, 4 or 5 years ago, two guys that were driving for Uber decided to take Uber to court and challenge the fact that Uber classed them as self-employed contractors. They felt that because of the way Uber controlled so much of how they worked, that they were actually workers, and therefore because they were workers they were entitled to holiday pay, sick pay, pensions and minimum wage. Now, with regards to the court case, it went to court I think 4 times, and each time Uber lost. The judge agreed with the two guys, but Uber kept appealing to waste time and hope that the other guys got fed up. They got backing via a union, so there was funding there to keep going. So in February 2021, Uber ended up at the Supreme Court in the UK, which meant that this was a last chance saloon for them. Having lost the previous 4, I think, or 5 court cases and been allowed to appeal those cases and get it back into court under the nose of another judge, this time under the Supreme Court, that's it. There's nowhere further to appeal. So they went to court and they lost. So that's all the stuff that's been happening in the news since that decision mid-February this year. So essentially now anyone that drives for Uber, I think as of that Wednesday actually, we were classed as workers. So what does that mean? Well, that's a very good question. And I think it depends on who you ask. So Uber have put forward this, they've tabled I guess what they call a solution from their perspective, in that they have said, right, okay, so minimum wage, we will pay you minimum wage, but we only class you as working for us when you're on a job. So you've opened the app and you've taken a job. Let's say that job takes an hour and that's the only Uber job you do that day for whatever reason. They'll say that, okay, well, we owe you an hour's minimum wage on that one job. Now, the two guys certainly that took the case to the court and the unions are disagreeing with that. And they're saying, no, you'll pay minimum wage, Uber, from the time people open their apps. Let's say you start like I do at 6:30 in the morning and at home, and you know where they are because of the GPS locations, obviously, and you'll pay them minimum wage until they get home and sign out of the app. So that's good. That's where things stand at the moment. Uber have found this little way that will undoubtedly they feel give them some wiggle room and some time. They'll table this bid, and then it'll need the courts to go, no, that's not acceptable, Uber, or yes, that's acceptable, or you know, wherever we find ourselves. So at the moment, it's a bit of something and nothing. We are classed as workers. Uber drivers are now classed as workers and will get minimum wage, pension contributions, holiday pay, which I would presume would be 20 days a year. They'll go for the whatever the minimum is they can, and sick pay, which I think would be the government, what's called SSP, statutory sick pay, which I think is about £85 a week. So if you say to Uber, I'm having a week off, I'm sick for whatever reason, you'll get £85 back. So about £15 or £16 a day. So that's where things stand. It looks like it'll be another round of court battles, although this time I think Uber are skating on a little bit of thin ice. It needs someone like Sadiq Khan to get involved and bang the drum and say to them, you need to play the game now. And also, he's in control of their license. So he needs to, I think, let them know, undoubtedly, that if they're not going to play the game, that their license will be at stake. Because if they're not going to look after their workers, then ultimately that leads to levels of poor service, because it'll lead, some drivers will feel they have to work ridiculously long hours just to make sensible money, and that puts clients, customers and passengers at risk, and that there's no winner there. Ultimately, I think what will happen is costs will go up. for passengers. Someone is going to have to bear this cost. My own gut feeling, personal feeling, professional feeling, is that Uber are going to have to stump up the money, and they're going to have to pay their drivers minimum wage by the hour from clock on to clock off time. And someone's got to pay for that. Ultimately, it's an amount of money, however much, that hasn't been factored in and paid, budgeted for currently. I think they have announced that they are, I think at a recent shareholder meeting, where they have to divulge certain bits of information, financial information. I think they did disclose that they have to pay, or will have to pay, the UK government like something like 2 billion, because I believe there are VAT implications in this decision as well. So they've had to announce that to the shareholders, to obviously say to them there's not going to be as much money in the pot. You know, this is... So my gut feeling is they know it's coming. They're doing what they can to weasel out of it. But by the same token, I think they should just cut their losses and go, okay, we've ridden this for long enough. Let's get this paid and let's move on. I think putting the prices up isn't a bad thing. I think if you want a reasonable level of service, it's not unreasonable for passengers to pay a little bit more so that the drivers can get more, and just raise the level of the service altogether across the board. So I fully expect that to happen. And then, of course, it remains to be seen what Bolt and Ola, who are the other two big players in this field, certainly in London and various other cities around the UK, where people stand with them, and will someone end up taking them to court to be classed as you know, employees of Bolt and Ola, and use Uber as the precedent? You know, well, it happened to them, we're in the same business, so please, sir, can we have the same status? So it's certainly interesting times ahead. Nothing definitive. I mean, I had the email on I think last week, I can't remember, anyway, it doesn't matter, from Uber saying, you know, we're going to be giving and the drivers this, that and the other. And I know people who are Uber passengers who also received an email from Uber with Uber saying they're going to be doing this, that and the other for drivers, like they had just invented the wheel. You know, it's like, oh, we're making this massive, you know, they kind of forgot to mention that they got clobbered in the courts, and they're only doing it because they have to, not because they feel it's the right thing to do. And even at that point, that, you know, we're still now not really much further in understanding what that recompense is going to be. So I hope you found that useful. It kind of brings us up to date with where we are in the Uber case. And if you liked this video, if you found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up and a like, and forward it on to anyone that you think may benefit by liking it, and subscribing for more videos that are coming, I'm working on. It'll tell YouTube that it's a good video and other people should see it. So I would really appreciate that. And as always, if you've got any questions or anything you want to say, please drop them down below in the comments, and I'll absolutely read them and respond. And I will see you on the next video. For now, sunny London, stay safe. Bye for now.